LeZevo likes to talk about life while he's shooting people in the face. LeZevo.
What is going on, everybody? It's LeZevo here again, and bringing you another video that really has nothing to do with this gameplay. This was a domination game, I think, from a long time ago, and it was really campy looking back on it, so I wasn't really going to talk about it at all. I considered not even using it, but I figured it would be a good backdrop just to kind of talk over about what I'm going to do. In my last video I put out kind of just a feeler to see what people were interested in getting from me, and one of the things that happened is my self-proclaimed biggest YouTube fan, who goes by the name of the Bomber, I think that's how you pronounce that. He's been requesting for a while now me to do another cool story, bro, and I had a couple ideas in mind that I was gonna make videos out of at some point. So considering he's the first guy to always comment on my videos, he has had nothing but kind words to say to me. I figured it'd be a good thing to kind of appease that request. So here goes. This is my cool story, bro. I'm calling this one how LeZevo is the Michael Jordan of China. And it kind of starts out with a little backdrop of my job. I think I mentioned before, I work in the automotive industry here in Detroit. And one of the cool things about that job is that I get to travel all over the world. You know, we're in a global economy, especially in the automotive industry. So we're making vehicles and parts for a lot of different vehicle manufacturers all over the world. So my company is a tier 1 supplier, and we have plants in all over the world. And I myself have been to Brazil, I've been to China, I've been to Mexico. I've been all around the U.S. I've been out in Las Vegas testing vehicles in the hot-ass weather. I've been to Buffalo, I've been to Ohio, I've been to Pittsburgh. It's kind of a neat thing being, coming out of college and being 22, 23 years old, and you kind of get to go all over the world, Up until I took this job, I hadn't even been on a plane, which is, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, I don't know what it was. I just never had the opportunity or never had the reason to fly anywhere. So my very first flight was actually from where I went to school down to the Detroit area to interview for my job. And from there, I've been flying all over the world. My mom laughs at me because, every time she's got to fly anywhere, she's calling me like, now where do I park and how do I get through the security? And I'm just like, giving her the ropes and all this stuff. So it's just funny because that was totally not me growing up, but it's been really cool. So one of the trips I had to take was to Shanghai, China. My company has a plant in Changshu, China, which is about a 30-minute drive once you get off the plane in Shanghai, which is nice after you take that 14-hour flight. I don't know, it's insane. Like, to fly on a plane, it's just the weirdest thing getting on there and like knowing that you're going to be in this little box for the next 13 hours. I mean, I remember I had enough time to I had a few drinks before dinner. They fed me dinner. I had a few more drinks. After dinner, had a few more drinks. I watched 2 full movies. I woke up with a hangover, and I was still not there. And by the way, I don't advise anyone getting a hangover on a plane. It's not fun. But you're already dehydrated when you're on that thing, and then just mixing booze adds to it. But yeah, so anyway, I finally get to China, and you finally get off that plane, and like I said, you got that nice half-hour to an hour car ride, or cab ride, which is always fun. And especially when it's always entertaining driving in Shanghai. It's the only time I've ever seen like a family of 4 on a moped, and the only one wearing a helmet was the dad, and that cracked me up. Like, he had like his 2-year-old standing on the seat between his lap, his wife was in back, and then had like another family member. I don't know what it was. I think you're only allowed to have 1 kid there, so maybe it was a brother or something, but cracks me up. The stuff you see over there is unbelievable. But so while I was there, we were in the plant, and we were setting up a brand new assembly line for one of our new products. That's kind of what my job was at the time, was to bring in new assembly equipment, set it up in the plant once I developed it and had purchased it, and so that's what I was doing. And while I was in the plant, I really liked that whole travel experience and kind of getting to know people in our plants all over, because you already sort of have a common bond because you do work for the same company. So it's really easy to spend some time with people and kind of connect with them, and just interesting people all over the world. It's amazing to think like, our little, everyone's little bubble, that your little world that you live in is so small compared to, you know, the size of the world, and there's just stuff happening. Everybody's got their own little experiences going on everywhere, and it's just fun getting to meet people. So um, I was talking to one of the guys who was a supervisor in our plant in China. His name is Justin. That's kind of his American name. They all have American names, but one of the things he mentioned is that he loves playing basketball, and I've always loved basketball, watching it, playing it. That's now I'm a sports nut. I think I've mentioned that before, but I've always loved playing basketball, and he actually invited me to go play with him in downtown Changshu. And I had just so happened to have my gym shorts, and I brought some shoes because I was working out on the treadmill and stuff, when I could, just to, because you get bored when you travel, so it's really easy to stay fit and work out when you're on the road, because there's nothing else to do, especially when you're in China with like Chinese TV and Chinese limited access internet and all that fun stuff. So yeah, so I had all my stuff, and I was like, hey, I'd love to go play with you. Just I was like, how am I gonna get there though? And then he said, I'll just write down on a piece of paper where you need to go, and you can give it to the cab driver, and he'll know where to go. So I said, okay. So he writes down this little post-it note, and it's all these Chinese characters. Like, it looks like chicken scratch to me, but it's obviously all their symbols and things. And so he handed that to me on the way out of the plant, and I told him I'd see him there. So I give it to I get ready when I get back to the hotel, and I give it to the cab driver, and he takes off. Right, this cab driver doesn't speak any English. I don't speak any Chinese, and we're on our way somewhere. I have no idea where we're going. I just hope it's the right thing on the paper. And while we're on the way there, I start thinking, I don't know when I'm supposed to get out of the car. Like, it's not like, even when you go to Mexico, you can at least see the words and the letters are familiar, so you can kind of match it up. You can't really do that with the symbols. You got to have a really keen eye to, it's like playing that game where what's the difference between the two pictures. So I remember thinking, I hope when he stops and I get out that's where I'm supposed to go. And because the other thing I should tell you, I guess, is my cell phone didn't work when you're over there. It's a totally different system, so I was just really winging it. So finally the car stops. I think I'm supposed to get out. I don't really see a basketball court, but all of a sudden I seen Justin from the plant, and he comes over and he's got his guys with him. So I hop out of the car, and he kind of says, yeah, it's right around the corner here, we're gonna walk in. And it was like at this big Olympic park. There's like a stadium there, and they have a bunch of outdoor courts, and they kind of look like something you'd see from an inner city setting, with like chain link fence around them and whatnot. So we come walking up, and there's tons of people there. They're all the courts are full, and no Americans. I don't know if these people have ever even seen an American, let alone play basketball with them. So as we're coming up to the courts, it was literally like a movie. We're walking up, and it got quiet. Everybody stopped, and was like, as we passed the courts, the games would just stop. The balls were bouncing and rolling away, and everybody was staring at me. It was kind of a weird thing. I was like, are they friendly? And I didn't know, didn't know what to expect. But yeah. So I'm walking up, and everybody's just really, really interested in me and what I'm doing there, and so Justin walks up and says, hey, we got next game. And they said, yeah, no problem. I mean, they wanted me to play right away. And we're like, no, finish your game. We'll wait for you. So we finally get on the court, and I didn't really have a chance to warm up or anything, so I just kind of was winging it. I had no idea what the level of competition was going to be, and it helps that I'm like a foot taller than most of the people there. So anyway, we finally get on the court. Very first time, very first play, I get the ball, and there's a guy that's about, he was probably the tallest guy there, but he's still like 4 inches shorter than me. I'm 6'4". He's probably about 6 foot, and he's guarding me. And I like did a little spin move around him, went like behind my back, and then like did like a reverse layup. And all of a sudden I heard this like roar, and I look up, and there's people running from the other courts to the fence. All these like Chinese kids, and they're stacked like too high on this chain link fence, and just clapping and cheering. And I'm looking around like, no one is gonna believe this story when I tell them. This is unbelievable. So the game kind of continued like that the rest of the time. I was just literally doing whatever I wanted to. It felt like I was back in high school and playing against like the middle school kids or something. But man, it was it was a really really fun time. Afterwards, I thought it was pretty funny. They all offered me cigarettes. If you haven't known, Asians love to smoke, so yeah, they offered me cigarettes after the game. I thought that was weird. Normally, you drink a Gatorade or something. They sat down on the bench, literally on the basketball court, and started puffing away. But yeah, we played all night. We played till it got dark. The ball was like, it was so dark, the ball was hitting me in the face, and couldn't even see what was coming at you. And eventually, I had to call it quits. But they just really got a kick out of that. They enjoyed me being there. It was a total experience. I'll never forget it. It was it was just something really really cool that I can't even describe. It was just like a scene from a movie. That's the only way I can describe it. Uh, as you notice here, I'm throwing in a couple pictures of my trip from China at the end of this video. You might recognize in the background of the first picture is the Oriental Pearl Tower. If you've seen Mission Impossible 3, that's in downtown Shanghai. And then the other picture I think is kind of funny because I consider it me. That was my "I'm huge in China" picture. That shows me compared to everybody else in the background. I'm like a whole head taller than everybody, so thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, that's my cool story, bro. LeZevo is the Michael Jordan of China, and if anyone's from Changshu wants to take me on, I feel pretty comfortable. So no, I'm just kidding. Uh, anyway, I hope you guys like that story, and I got some more for you too. So stay tuned for the next cool story, bro. Thanks a lot, guys.